12th February 2026, 1930. Ozen on Bur. Chapter 1, The Echo of Starlight, the Atacama Desert, a landscape of rust-colored dunes and salt-cracked earth, stretched into an unforgiving horizon under a sky so clear it felt like a window into eternity. Here, perched atop the desolate peak of Techo Perdido, the Parallax Observatory stood as a lone sentinel, its white dome a stark contrast to the ochre terrain. Inside, Dr. Aris Thorne, a man whose youthful face was perpetually etched with a mixture of wonder and weariness, was lost in the cosmic ballet displayed on his monitors. It was October 13th, 2022, a night like any other, or so he thought. For weeks, Aris had been meticulously cataloguing the spectral signatures of exoplanets in the Kepler 186 system, a task both monotonous and profound. The rhythmic hum of the observatory's cooling systems was his only companion, a mechanical lullaby in the vast silence of the desert. Suddenly, a discordant string of data scrolled across his screen, an anomaly that shattered the familiar patterns. It was a signal, faint but persistent, a repeating sequence of pulses that was too structured, too deliberate to be a natural phenomenon. His heart, usually a steady drum, began to race with a frantic rhythm. With trembling hands, Aris cross-referenced the signal with every known celestial event. It was not a pulsar, nor a quasar, nor any other cosmic entity he had ever encountered. It was artificial. He immediately drafted a report, his fingers flying across the keyboard, detailing his discovery and its potential implications. He sent it to the head of the observatory, Dr. Evelyn Reed, a woman whose skepticism was as legendary as her scientific achievements. Her reply was swift and dismissive. A probable sensor malfunction, she called it, a ghost in the machine. He was to recalibrate his equipment and move on. Frustration gnawed at Aris. He knew what he had seen. This was no glitch. Ignoring Dr. Reed's directive, he commandeered the observatory's main telescope, a behemoth of glass and steel, and aimed it at the source of the signal. For hours he stared into the abyss, his eyes straining against the darkness. Then he saw it. A shadow against the tapestry of stars, a colossal object moving with a purpose that sent a shiver down his spine. It was a vessel impossibly large, and it was heading directly for their solar system. Panic began to set in as Aris calculated the object's trajectory. It was on a collision course with Jupiter, the gas giant that acted as the solar system's gravitational shield. The impact would be cataclysmic, a cosmic explosion that would send a deadly rain of asteroids and comets hurtling towards the inner planets, including Earth. The fate of humanity rested on this discovery, and he was the only one who knew. He had to warn someone, anyone. He bypassed the observatory's internal network and sent an encrypted message to the International Astronomical Union, a desperate plea for help. But his message was intercepted. A new message appeared on his screen, a single, chilling sentence. Silence is your only option. The sender was unknown, but their message was clear. He was not to speak of what he had seen. Aris felt a cold dread creep over him. He was no longer just an astronomer, he was a witness and a target. Looking out at the observatory's panoramic window, he saw them. Two black, unmarked vehicles, their headlights cutting through the darkness, were making their way up the winding road to the observatory. His communication lines went dead. He was cut off from the world. There was only one choice left. He had to run. He frantically downloaded all his data onto a hardened drive, a small silver rectangle that now held the weight of the world. He grabbed his worn leather jacket, a small survival kit, and a satellite phone he had kept for emergencies. He was a scientist, not a spy, but he knew He had to disappear. With a last look at the star-filled sky, Aris slipped out of a service hatch and into the cold desert night. The wind howled around him, a mournful cry that seemed to echo the turmoil in his soul. He was alone, hunted, with a truth that could either save the world or get him killed. The black vehicles were getting closer, their engines a low growl in the distance. He ran, his feet sinking into the soft sand, the vast, indifferent desert swallowing him whole. The echo of starlight had become a scream, and he was the only one who could hear it. Chapter 2. The Whispering Sands. The desert night was a cold, indifferent witness to Aris's flight. Each frantic step in the loose sand felt like a struggle against a formless entity pulling him back towards the doomed observatory. The twin beams of the approaching vehicles swept across the ridge behind him, casting his fleeting shadow long and distorted against the dunes before plunging him back into darkness. He didn't dare look back. The image of the Parallax Observatory, his sanctuary turned prison, was seared into his mind. At the summit, the two black SUVs slid to a halt with disciplined precision. Doors opened in unison, and 6 figures clad in matte black tactical gear emerged, their movements economical and silent. They carried no insignias, no flags. They were spectres armed with advanced weaponry, their faces obscured by visored helmets. They swept into the observatory, a silent storm breaching the tranquility of the scientific haven. The lead figure, a man who moved with the predatory grace of a wolf, found Aris's workstation. The chair was still warm. On the main screen, a simulation of the Kepler 186 system glowed softly, a stark contrast to the urgent raw data streams left open on a secondary monitor. He followed the trajectory calculations and glanced at the main telescope's coordinates. It was pointed not at Kepler, but at a dark patch of space on the edge of Jupiter's orbit. He knew at once the escapee's crime. Miles away, in the sleeping town of Antofagasta, Dr. Evelyn Reed was jolted awake by a series of urgent encrypted alerts on her personal tablet. She watched with a growing sense of dread as the observatory's security feed played back the silent, professional raid. These were not police. They were not military. Her initial skepticism about Aris's discovery curdled into a cold, terrifying certainty. The ghost in the machine was real, and it had sent its hounds. As the first hint of dawn painted the eastern sky in hues of lavender and rose, Aris found refuge in a shallow, wind-carved cave. Exhaustion was a physical weight pressing him down into the sand. His body screamed for rest, but his mind was a maelstrom of fear and adrenaline. The silence of the desert was now filled with the phantom hum of the alien signal. He pulled out the hardened drive and the satellite phone. The phone's screen displayed a single, disheartening message. No signal. They had jammed everything. He connected the drive to the phone, its small screen barely able to display the complex data. He stared at the repeating pulses, the elegant, undeniable pattern of intelligence. It was a message, a declaration, and he was its unwilling prophet. Back at the observatory, the leader of the tactical team, a man known only as Silas, knelt and examined the tracks leading away from the service hatch. The prints were deep, erratic, the tracks of a man running in terror. He's on foot, heading east. Silas's voice was a low, synthesized rasp through his helmet's comms. He's carrying the data. He cannot be allowed to reach a populated area. Deploy the drone. Driven by a primal need to survive, Aris forced himself back onto his feet. The sun was beginning its ascent, and with it came the promise of a blistering, lethal heat. His water was limited. According to the satellite phone's offline map, the small town of San Pedro de Atacama was a 2-day walk east.
It was his only chance. He had to move. A memory surfaced, unbidden. A conversation with Evelyn a year prior, after he had presented a paper on speculative alien communication methods. "Be careful, Aris," she had warned, a rare note of concern in her voice. "The universe doesn't always play by our rules. When you shout into the abyss, you can't know what will shout back." He had dismissed it as her usual caution. Now, her words felt like a prophecy. A high-pitched whine, almost too faint to be heard over the wind, drew Aris's attention to the sky. A metallic glint caught the morning sun, a drone sleek and black like an insect of prey. It was systematically scanning the terrain, its optical sensor a malevolent red eye. There was nowhere to hide. Instinct took over. Aris threw himself to the ground, frantically digging into the soft sand, burying himself under a shallow layer of rust-colored earth. He held his breath, his heart hammering against his ribs. The drone's shadow passed directly over him. A fleeting moment of cold in the growing warmth of the day. The drone moved on, its search pattern continuing eastward. Aris lay still for a long time, the silence broken only by his own ragged breathing. They were far more sophisticated than he could have imagined. This was not a simple manhunt. It was a meticulous, technologically advanced erasure. At her home, Evelyn Reed began her own covert operation. She sliced through layers of firewalls, accessing the observatory's deep storage archives. She found the logs from Aris's terminal. The last 24 hours of his external communications had been professionally wiped, but a ghost of a data packet remained, a fragmented address pointing to the International Astronomical Union, and then she found the incoming message, the one that had been deleted from Aris's screen. "Silence is your only option." It originated from a dead-end server, untraceable. She was looking at a conspiracy that reached into the very heart of her observatory. After what felt like an eternity of walking, his throat raw, and his vision blurring from dehydration, Aris stumbled upon a ribbon of cracked asphalt shimmering in the heat. A road. It was deserted, stretching into infinity in both directions, but it was a lifeline, a thread of civilization in the desolate tapestry of the desert. An hour later, a plume of dust in the distance materialized into a lumbering ancient transport truck. It wheezed to a stop beside him. The driver, a man with a face as weathered as the landscape, leaned across the passenger seat. "Looks like you've seen better days, amigo." Aris, using the first fake name that came to mind, spun a weak story about his car breaking down. The trucker, whose name was Matteo, grunted and pushed the door open. "Get in. The desert is no place to be alone." As the truck rumbled down the highway, Matteo, a man of few words, spoke of the desert's secrets. "Seen things out here," he said, his eyes fixed on the road. "Lights in the sky that ain't planes or stars. They dance, you know. The old ones say the sky is just a blanket, and sometimes something pulls it back to peek at us." Aris listened, a chill running through him despite the cabin's stifling heat. Silas's team found the point where Aris's tracks met the road. "He's got a ride," the synthesized voice stated flatly. Silas accessed traffic camera feeds from the nearest highway junction. He cross-referenced vehicle types and times. A description of Aris, pulled from observatory personnel files, was flagged and distributed through a network that bypassed official channels. The net was tightening. The truck rolled into San Pedro de Atacama, a dusty oasis teeming with backpackers and artists, a vibrant splash of life against the muted tones of the desert. Matteo dropped him at the edge of the main square. "Be careful, amigo," the old trucker said, a strange intensity in his gaze.
There are shadows in the sun out here. Aris thanked him and melted into the crowd, the hardened drive in his pocket feeling like a block of ice. He found a small, dimly lit internet cafe tucked away in a side alley. He needed to try again to get the word out. He chose a terminal in the darkest corner and began composing a new message, this time to a former professor, a brilliant and eccentric astrophysicist in Iceland he knew he could trust. He encrypted it with a key they had shared in university, a code built around a shared love for an obscure science fiction novel. His finger hovered over the send button. He took a deep breath and clicked. For a second, nothing happened. Then the screen flickered violently. The text of his message dissolved into a cascade of corrupted pixels. A new line of text burned itself onto the screen, stark and white against the black background. "We are everywhere. This is your final warning." A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. His gaze darted around the cafe. In the opposite corner, a man in a simple tourist's shirt, who had been staring at a blank screen, slowly lifted his head. His eyes met Aris's. There was no expression on his face, but his eyes were as cold and empty as the void between galaxies. Aris shoved his chair back, grabbed his pack, and ran, the man's unblinking stare following him out the door. Chapter 3: The Ghost in the Network. The narrow alleyways of San Pedro became a labyrinth. Aris ran without direction, his lungs burning, the image of the man in the cafe, the watcher, branded into his thoughts. He was no longer just being hunted, he was being herded. Every attempt to break the silence was not only failing, but was also revealing his location, tightening the invisible leash around his neck. He was a mouse in a maze designed by a godlike intelligence. He found temporary shelter in the courtyard of a centuries-old adobe church, its weathered walls offering a fragile sense of sanctuary. He sank onto a stone bench, trying to control his ragged breaths. The casual chatter of tourists and the distant melody of a street musician felt like sounds from another world. He was an island of terror in an ocean of blissful ignorance. In Reykjavik, Dr. Alistair Finch, a man whose wild white hair and perpetually untucked shirt belied a razor-sharp intellect, stared at his monitor in puzzlement. A corrupted data packet had arrived, its encryption signature one he recognized instantly. It was the code he and his brightest former student, Aris Thorne, had devised years ago. The packet was mostly digital noise, but a few legible fragments remained. Jupiter, collision that they are. And then, nothing. It was a ghost of a message, a whisper from a void. Alistair, a man who trusted data over intuition, felt a rare prickle of unease. He knew Aris. The boy was meticulous, brilliant, not prone to sending cryptic, broken messages. He ran a trace, but the signal's origin was a dead end, a ghost server that had already folded in on itself. Something was very wrong. Back in Antofagasta, Evelyn Reed's investigation had hit a wall of digital concrete. Every file related to Aris's discovery, every log of the mysterious signal, had been professionally expunged from the observatory's servers. It was as if the last 48 hours had never happened. But she had seen the raid. She had seen the fragmented message. She couldn't let it go. She booked the first flight to San Pedro, telling her staff she was taking a personal leave. Her objective: find Aris before they did. As night fell over San Pedro, Aris knew he couldn't stay. The Watchers were here. He needed a new plan, a way to communicate that didn't rely on the digital network they so clearly controlled. He thought of Matteo, the old trucker. The old ones say the sky is just a blanket. The words echoed in his mind. He needed to get off the grid, truly off the grid. Silas stood on a rooftop overlooking the town square. a pair of augmented reality binoculars painting his view with data overlays. He tracked heat signatures, cross-referenced faces with the image of Aris Thorne. The target had gone to ground. "He's smart," Silas reported to his unseen handler. "He knows we control the network. He'll be looking for an analog solution." The handler's voice, a synthesized androgynous tone, replied, "Anticipate him. He is a variable that must be contained. Do not fail." Aris sold his satellite phone for a pittance in a dusty pawn shop, using the cash to buy a bus ticket not to a major city, but to a remote village deep in the Andes. He also bought a simple, non-digital camera, a compass, and a paper map. He was regressing technologically, shedding the digital skin they could so easily track. Evelyn landed in Calama, the nearest airport to San Pedro, and rented a nondescript car. She drove into the desert town, her mind racing. She didn't know who she was up against, only that they were powerful and ruthless. She started her search the old-fashioned way, showing a picture of Aris to hotel clerks and cafe owners, spinning a story about a missing nephew. Alistair Finch, unable to shake his sense of dread, reached out to a contact within the European Space Agency, a woman named Lena Petrova, with whom he had a long and complicated history. He didn't share the fragmented message, only a carefully worded query about any unusual gravitational or electromagnetic readings near Jupiter. It was a long shot, a message in a bottle thrown into a sea of bureaucracy. The bus ride into the mountains was a bone-jarring ascent into another world. The desert gave way to terraced fields and jagged peaks that clawed at the sky. Aris felt a sliver of hope. Here, in the thin, cold air of the Andes, perhaps he could finally be free of the digital ghosts that haunted him. He disembarked in a small Quechua village that clung to the mountainside. The villagers, with their quiet dignity and faces carved by the wind and sun, regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. He was an outsider, a disruption to their ancient rhythms. Silas's team was not far behind. They had flagged the bus ticket purchase. Two of his operatives, now dressed as hikers, were on the next bus to the same village. The hunt had entered a new, more dangerous phase. A pursuit in the wild, far from the anonymous crowds of the city. Aris found lodging with an old woman named Ilara, the village matriarch, whose eyes held the wisdom of generations. He paid her for a room and for her silence. He spent his days helping her tend her llamas and her nights staring at the stars, the hardened drive a cold weight against his chest. He used the camera to take pictures of the data on the drive, creating an analog backup. It was clumsy, but it was something. One evening, Ilara found him staring at the sky. "You are not looking at the stars," she said, her voice a soft rasp. "You are looking for something that is not there, or something that is coming." Aris was taken aback. "The mountains see everything," she continued. "They remember, and lately they have been whispering." In her office at the ESA, Lena Petrova received Alistair's query. She respected the old man's intellect. On a hunch, she diverted a deep space probe for a 15-minute calibration scan of the designated sector near Jupiter. It was a breach of protocol, a risk to her career, but her gut told her Alistair wouldn't cry wolf without reason. Days later, the data from the probe arrived. It was impossible. A gravitational anomaly that defied the known laws of physics, a shadow in the data, a void where there should be nothing, moving with impossible speed. She immediately classified the data, locking it down under the highest security protocols. Then she sent a one-word encrypted message to Alistair. Found. Alistair felt a surge of adrenaline. He knew what he had to do. He began packing not just clothes, but specialized equipment, a portable spectrum analyzer, a gravimeter, and a custom-built air-gapped communication device. He was going to find his student. He was going to find the truth. In the Andean village, the two operatives posing as hikers had located Aris. They observed him from a distance, reporting his every move to Silas. He is isolated, no communication in or out, awaiting your order to engage. Silas considered this. A direct approach was risky. The target was now in a community. There would be witnesses. Maintain observation. Do not engage. I am en route. That night, a meteor shower lit up the Andean sky. The villagers gathered to watch the celestial fireworks. As streaks of light rained down, Aris felt a profound sense of isolation. He was watching the beauty of the cosmos while holding the secret of its impending violation. He looked at the faces around him, illuminated by the falling stars, and the weight of his knowledge felt heavier than ever. He had to find a way. He had to make them listen. The ghost in the network was silent, but the whispers of the mountains and the stars were growing louder. Chapter 4. The Mountain's Shadow. The tranquility Ari had hoped for in the high Andes was a mirage. A subtle but persistent sense of being watched followed him like a shadow. The two hikers were a constant presence on the periphery, their casual appearances on distant ridges too coincidental to be random. They were wolves in sheep's clothing, and their patience was a terrifying weapon. Ilara's warnings grew more specific. "The wind carries whispers, Aris," she told him one evening, her dark eyes fixed on him as she stirred a pot over her fire. "It speaks of men who are not what they seem. Men with cold hearts who hunt for something you carry. This mountain is not a shield, it is a cage." Meanwhile, in the dusty streets of San Pedro, Evelyn Reed's methodical search bore fruit. She found the pawn shop where Aris had sold his phone. The shopkeeper remembered him, a frantic man with haunted eyes. More importantly, she found the bus station. A ticket agent, after some persuasion, recalled selling a ticket to a man matching Aris's description, a man heading to the remote mountain village of Coyo. Her heart pounded with a mix of fear and hope. Aris was alive, and he was trying to go analog to escape the digital world. She bought a ticket for the same route, her journey now a race against the unseen forces she knew were also hunting for him. The cold, professional efficiency of the observatory raid told her they would not be far behind. Dr. Alastair Finch, having landed in Santiago, pulled strings he hadn't touched in years. He chartered a private plane to a small airstrip near the Atacama, his specialized equipment carefully packed as geological survey tools. He was a man on a mission, driven by a loyalty to his former student and an insatiable curiosity about the impossible data fragment he had received. At the European Space Agency, Lena Petrova was called into her director's office. The unauthorized probe scan had been flagged. She stood her ground, presenting a heavily redacted version of her findings, an unexplained gravitational anomaly. She omitted its artificial nature, framing it as a natural phenomenon requiring urgent classified study. It was a dangerous gamble, but it bought her time and, for now, kept her project alive. Silas arrived in Coyo as the sun dipped below the peaks, casting long, menacing shadows across the village. He moved with an unnerving stillness, his presence immediately shifting the village's atmosphere from quiet suspicion to palpable fear. He took command from his operatives, his cold gaze sweeping over the small collection of adobe homes. The target was here. The hunt was ending. Instead of a direct assault, Silas chose a crueler strategy. That night, Ilara's prized llama, a creature she had raised from birth, was found dead at the edge of her property, its neck broken with clinical precision. There was no blood, no sign of a predator. It was a message, a violation of the village's peace, and everyone knew who it was for. Aris saw the dead animal and felt a wave of nausea and guilt. He had brought this darkness to their peaceful world. Ilara looked at him, her ancient face a mask of sorrow, not of anger. "You must go," she whispered, "before the mountain weeps for more than just a llama. Go now, while the moon is new." He had to run again, but this time it was different. He wasn't just saving himself, he was trying to draw the wolves away from the flock. He packed his meager supplies, leaving most of the money he had on Ilara's table. He slipped out of the village under the cover of absolute darkness, heading not for a road, but higher into the treacherous, unmapped peaks. His escape was almost short-lived. As he navigated a narrow mountain pass, a beam of light from a high-powered flashlight pinned him against the rock face. One of the operatives was above him. Aris scrambled down a steep, scree slope, rocks clattering into the darkness, the beam of light tracking his desperate descent. He threw himself behind a rock outcropping just as the sharp crack of a silenced rifle echoed in the night air, a chip of stone exploding from the rock beside his head. Evelyn arrived in Koyo the next day to a village shrouded in fear. She found Ilara, who, after a long searching look, decided to trust her. She told Evelyn about the haunted man, the dead llama, and the cold-hearted hunters. She pointed towards the high peaks. "He went that way, to draw the shadows out of our home." Evelyn, armed with a satellite phone and a grim determination, began her ascent. Alistair, now in the Atacama, had set up his equipment. His portable gravimeter registered the same impossible anomaly Lena had found, a faint but undeniable ripple in space-time. It was real. Using his spectrum analyzer, he scanned for any unusual energy signatures. He found one, a faint intermittent energy trace from a non-commercial power source high in the eastern mountain range. It had to be them. Feeling the walls of bureaucracy closing in, Lena Petrova made a bold move. She anonymized a single data point from the anomaly, its impossible evolution, and posted it on a niche astrophysics forum, disguised as a theoretical query. It was a tiny breadcrumb, but she hoped it would be enough to make other brilliant minds ask the same questions she was asking. Silas was furious. The target had slipped through his fingers again. "He is more resourceful than anticipated," the handler's synthesized voice stated, a hint of digital impatience in its tone. "The variable is becoming unstable. Containment is the only priority, authorizing advanced assets. Do not let him reach the world." High in the mountains, shivering in the thin air, Aris found shelter in an abandoned miner's hut, a relic from a forgotten age. He was trapped, exhausted, but his resolve had hardened into a diamond point of clarity. If he couldn't send a message, he would have to leave one. He took out the hardened drive and a sharp piece of rock. He began to carve. On the flat, smooth stone floor of the hut, he started scratching the binary code of the alien signal, a permanent record etched into the mountain itself. It was a desperate, almost insane act, a message for a future archaeologist, a final testament. Evelyn, following the faint tracks left by Aris and his pursuers, found the site of the confrontation in the pass. She saw the scuff marks from his slide, the fresh chip in the rock face, and found a small, high-velocity slug buried in the dirt. The proof was undeniable. They were trying to kill him. Alistair cross-referenced the energy signature with the topographical map. It was coming from a cluster of abandoned mines on the slopes of a dormant volcano, Cerro Volcan. He packed a bag with his most portable gear and set off, his academic curiosity now fully transformed into a rescue mission. The hunt entered its final stage. Silas's team deployed a network of seismic and thermal sensors, creating an invisible fence around the mountain. Aris was boxed in. As he painstakingly carved the last lines of the alien code into the stone, he looked out through a crack in the hut's wall. On a distant lower peak, he saw a flicker of light, a signal fire. It was an ancient form of communication, a line of sight message across the vast emptiness, and it gave him an idea, a final, desperate gambit. The chapter of his life was closing, but the story was not over. Unseen by him, three figures were now converging on his position: a hunter, a protector, and a seeker. The shadow of the mountain held them all, and the fate of the world rested on who would find him first. Chapter 5. The Ascent of Truth. The signal fire Aris had seen was not a beacon of hope, but a trap. Silas, anticipating his move, had ordered his operatives to light a series of small, controlled fires on strategic peaks, creating a false sense of security, a lure. Aris, however, was not entirely fooled. The pattern was too deliberate, too perfect. He knew they were closing in, but he also knew that a desperate gambit was his only chance. He continued his arduous climb, the thin air burning his lungs, the weight of the hardened drive a constant reminder of his burden. He was heading towards the highest peak, a place the locals called Apu Wirakucha, the god of the waters. It was a sacred place, and he hoped to place beyond their reach, at least for a little while. Evelyn, guided by Ilara's directions and her own keen sense of tracking, was making good progress. The slug she found at the pass was a chilling confirmation of the danger Aris was in. She knew she wasn't just looking for a colleague, she was on a rescue mission. Her satellite phone, a lifeline, buzzed with an incoming message from an unknown number. It was a single word: Apu. Meanwhile, Alistair Finch, his old bones protesting with every step, was steadily ascending Cerro Vulcan. His gravimeter was now screaming, the anomaly growing stronger with every meter he climbed. The energy signature he had detected was also intensifying, emanating from the abandoned mines. He was getting closer to the source, and he knew, to Aris. Lena Petrova, back at the ESA, was facing a storm. Her director, alerted by the unusual data, had demanded a full explanation. Lena, with a carefully constructed narrative, presented her findings as a potential new astronomical phenomenon, emphasizing the need for further highly classified investigation. She managed to secure a small, independent research grant, giving her a measure of autonomy and, more importantly, access to advanced satellite imaging. Silas, observing Aris's ascent through thermal imaging drones, smiled grimly. The target was heading exactly where he wanted him. Apu Wirakucha was a dead end, a natural fortress with only one way up and one way down. Once Aris reached the summit, he would be trapped. "Prepare for extraction," he commanded his team, his voice devoid of emotion. Aris reached a precarious ledge, a natural overhang that offered a momentary respite. He looked back, and in the distance he saw the faint glow of the village, a tiny cluster of lights against the vast darkness. He also saw the pinpricks of light from Silas's team, slowly but surely ascending the mountain like a pack of hungry wolves. He pulled out his non-digital camera and the hardened drive. He began taking pictures of the binary code he had carved into the hut floor, meticulously documenting every line. He knew this was a long shot, but it was the only way to preserve the truth, if he failed. He was creating a physical, undeniable record. Evelyn, now higher up the mountain, saw the same pinpricks of light. She recognized the coordinated movement, the tactical precision. These were not just hunters, they were a well-trained, well-equipped paramilitary unit. The stakes were higher than she had imagined. She quickened her pace, her heart pounding with a desperate urgency. Alistair, nearing the abandoned mines, noticed a faint, rhythmic hum in the air, a low vibration that resonated in his chest. It was the same hum Aris had described in his fragmented message. He was close. He pulled out his custom-built communication device, hoping to establish a secure link with Aris, a link that bypassed all known networks. Lena, using her newly acquired satellite imaging access, focused on the Atacama region. She zoomed in on the coordinates Alistair had provided, then cross-referenced them with the energy signature she had detected. The image resolved into a cluster of abandoned mines and a faint, almost imperceptible heat signature emanating from one of them. She knew Alistair was there. Silas, receiving real-time updates from his drones, saw Aris's progress. He was nearing the summit. "He's making a last stand," Silas muttered, a flicker of grudging respect in his eyes. "He thinks the altitude will protect him." Foolish. He ordered his team to increase their pace, to cut off any escape routes. Aris, reaching a small plateau just below the summit, saw a faint flicker of light in the distance, a signal fire, but this one was different. It was a single, steady light, not the scattered, deceptive fires of Silas's team. It was coming from the direction of Cerro Volcan. Could it be Alistair? A surge of hope, fragile but potent, coursed through him. He pulled out his satellite phone, now useless for communication, but its screen could still function as a mirror. He began to flash a series of coded signals towards the distant light, a desperate Morse code message. Help. Alien. Jupiter. He knew it was a long shot, but he had to try. Evelyn, now close enough to see Aris's silhouette against the rising moon, saw the flashes of light. She recognized the pattern. It was Morse code. Her heart leaped. He was alive, and he was trying to communicate. She pulled out her own satellite phone and began to flash a reply, a simple message. Coming. Alistair, seeing the flashes from Aris's position, felt a wave of relief. The boy was alive. He recognized the Morse code. Help. Alien. Jupiter. He understood. He also saw the reply flashes from Evelyn's position. The team was assembling unknowingly in the heart of the enemy's territory. Lena, monitoring the satellite feeds, saw the coordinated flashes of light. It was a primitive form of communication, but effective. She triangulated the positions. Aris was on Apu Wirakucha, Evelyn was on a lower ridge, and Alistair was near the abandoned mines on Cerro Volcan. The pieces were falling into place. Silas, seeing the flashes, cursed under his breath. They're communicating, primitive but effective. He knew he had to act fast. He couldn't allow them to consolidate. Deploy the aerial assets. Contain them. Now. The silent black drones, previously used for surveillance, now armed with non-lethal deterrents, began to ascend. Aris, seeing the drones rise from the valley floor, knew his time was running out. He had to reach the summit to make his final stand. He looked at the hardened drive, then at the vast, indifferent sky. He had a plan, a desperate, audacious plan that might just work. He would use the mountain itself as his weapon. Evelyn, seeing the drones, knew she had to create a diversion. She pulled out a flare gun from her survival kit and fired it into the night sky, a brilliant red streak that momentarily drew the drone's attention away from Aris. It was a small act of defiance, but it bought him precious seconds. Alistair, seeing the drones and the flare, understood. He activated his custom-built communication device, broadcasting a high-frequency encrypted signal. It was a jamming signal designed to disrupt the drone's communication with Silas's command center. It was a desperate gamble, but it was their only chance to buy Aris more time. Aris reached the summit of Apu Wirakucha, the wind whipping around him, the stars a dazzling canopy above. He stood on the precipice, the hardened drive clutched in his hand. The drones were closing in, their whirring blades a menacing chorus. He looked at the distant flicker of Alistair's signal, then at the red glow of Evelyn's flare. He was not alone. He was ready. Chapter 6. The Summit of Desperation. Aris stood on the windswept summit of Apu Wirakucha, the hardened drive a cold, metallic comfort in his hand. The drones, now visible as menacing black specks against the star-dusted sky, were ascending rapidly. Their whirring blades were a growing crescendo, a mechanical death knell echoing in the vast silence of the mountains. He had to act, and quickly. His plan was audacious, born of desperation and a deep understanding of the mountain's geology. He knew of a fissure, a deep, narrow crack in the rock face, a natural chimney that led down into the heart of the mountain. It was a dangerous descent, but it was his only chance to escape the aerial assault. Evelyn, still on the lower ridge, watched in horror as the drones converged on Aris's position. Her flare gun was empty, her satellite phone's battery dying. She saw Aris move towards the precipice, not to jump, but to descend into the mountain itself. A new, desperate hope flickered within her. She had to follow. Alistair, his jamming device working overtime, saw the drones falter, their coordinated ascent momentarily disrupted. It was a small victory, but a crucial one. He knew Aris was making his move. He also knew that the mines below held secrets, and perhaps a way to help his student. Lena Petrova, observing the satellite feed, saw the drone's erratic behavior. Alistair's jamming signal was working. She also noticed a new heat signature, a small, rapidly moving dot descending into a known geological fissure on Apu Wirakucha. Aris was going underground. She immediately rerouted a geological survey satellite to focus on the area, hoping to get a clearer picture of the subterranean landscape. Silas, his face a mask of cold fury, watched his drones struggle against the jamming signal. "He has an accomplice," he snarled, "Alistair Finch, and the woman, Evelyn Reed. They are converging. This is no longer a simple containment, it is an organized resistance." He ordered his ground team to accelerate their ascent, to cut off Aris's escape from below. Aris began his descent into the fissure, the hardened drive secured to his chest. The darkness was absolute, broken only by the faint glow of his headlamp. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and ancient stone. He was entering the mountain's maw, a place where time itself seemed to slow. He navigated the treacherous path, his hands raw from gripping the cold rock, his feet slipping on loose scree. He was a scientist, not a mountaineer, but the will to survive, to expose the truth, fueled his every move. He was a man possessed, driven by a cosmic secret. Evelyn, following Aris's trail, found the entrance to the fissure. She hesitated for a moment, then plunged into the darkness. She was not afraid of heights, but the thought of what lay beneath, what Aris was running from, sent a shiver down her spine. She was entering the unknown, a world beneath the world. Alistair, now at the entrance of the abandoned mines, found a series of ancient pictographs carved into the rock face. They depicted celestial bodies, strange symbols, and humanoid figures with elongated heads. He recognized the pattern. It was a map, a guide to something hidden deep within the mountain. The humming vibration grew louder. more insistent. Lena's satellite imagery revealed a complex network of tunnels and caverns beneath Apu Wirakucha, a subterranean labyrinth that dwarfed the abandoned mines. And at its heart, a massive artificial structure, pulsating with the same energy signature Alistair had detected. It was a hidden base, a secret beneath the sacred mountain. Silas's ground team, a dozen heavily armed operatives, reached the summit. They found the entrance to the fissure and the fresh tracks leading into its depths. "He's gone underground," one operative reported. "The fissure is too narrow for the drones. We'll have to go in on foot." Silas nodded. "He cannot be allowed to escape. Follow him and bring him back alive. The data is paramount." Aris, deep within the mountain, stumbled into a vast cavern. His headlamp illuminated a scene that defied belief. The cavern was not natural. It was a colossal chamber, carved with impossible precision, its walls adorned with intricate alien glyphs. And in the center, a massive, pulsating crystal, radiating the same orange glow he had seen from the alien vessel. He realized with a jolt that the crystal was not just a power source, it was a communication device, a beacon. The alien signal he had detected was not just a message, it was a call, a homing signal, and he had inadvertently activated it. Evelyn, navigating the treacherous descent, heard a faint, rhythmic hum echoing from below. It was the same hum she had heard in the observatory's security feed, the hum of the alien craft. She was getting closer. She also heard the faint sounds of Silas's team, their heavy boots echoing in the narrow fissure. She was caught between two worlds, a hunter and the hunted. Alistair, following the ancient pictographs, found a hidden entrance within the abandoned mines, a perfectly circular tunnel that descended steeply into the earth. The humming vibration was now deafening, a physical force that vibrated through his entire body. He knew he was on the right path. He was entering the heart of the mystery. Lena, analyzing the satellite data, saw the energy signature from the subterranean structure intensify. It was actively transmitting a powerful burst of energy directed outwards, towards deep space. The alien vessel was not just heading for Jupiter, it was responding to a signal, a call from within the Earth itself. The implications were staggering. Silas's team entered the fissure, their headlamps cutting through the darkness. They moved with practiced efficiency, their weapons at the ready. They were closing in on Aris, but they were also entering a world they did not understand, a world of ancient secrets and alien technology. The mountain was not just a hiding place, it was a tomb, and they were walking into it. Aris, standing before the pulsating crystal, felt a surge of understanding. The alien signal was not a threat, it was a warning about a coming cataclysm, a cosmic event that threatened not just Earth, but the entire solar system. The alien vessel was not an invasion, it was a rescue mission, and he, Aris Thorne, was the only one who knew. He pulled out the hardened drive, its small size a stark contrast to the monumental truth it contained. He knew what he had to do. He had to connect the drive to the crystal, to merge the human data with the alien knowledge, to create a unified message, a desperate plea for help. He was a bridge between two worlds, a messenger of the stars. Evelyn, emerging into the vast cavern, saw Aris standing before the pulsating crystal. She also saw the approaching headlamps of Silas's team. She was too late to stop them, but not too late to help Aris. She pulled out her last remaining flare and threw it towards the approaching team, a desperate attempt to buy Aris more time. Alistair, emerging from the circular tunnel, saw the cavern, the crystal, and Aris. He also saw Evelyn and the approaching team. He understood the gravity of the situation. He activated his jamming device, broadcasting a wide-spectrum signal, hoping to disrupt not just the drones, but all their communications, to create a moment of chaos, a window of opportunity. Aris, seeing Evelyn's flare and hearing Alistair's jamming signal, knew this was his chance. He plunged the hardened drive into a glowing receptacle on the crystal's surface. A blinding flash of light erupted, followed by a deafening hum that shook the very foundations of the mountain. The crystal pulsed with an intensity that threatened to tear the cavern apart. The message was sent. The call was answered. The ascent of truth had begun, and the world would never be the same. Chapter 7. The Resonance of Worlds. The blinding flash of light from the crystal momentarily disoriented everyone in the cavern. Silas's team, caught off guard, stumbled back, their night vision goggles overwhelmed. Evelyn and Alistair, though prepared for a reaction, were still momentarily stunned by the sheer power emanating from the ancient artifact. Aris, at the epicenter, felt a surge of energy course through him, a connection to something vast and ancient. The deafening hum intensified, vibrating through the very bedrock of Apu Wirakucha. The alien glyphs on the cavern walls began to glow, pulsating in rhythm with the crystal. It was as if the mountain itself was awakening, resonating with the cosmic call Aris had just sent. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy. Silas, recovering quickly, barked orders into his comms, but Alistair's jamming signal was still effective, turning his commands into static. Frustrated, he gestured to his team to advance, their weapons raised. They were trained for any contingency, but this was beyond their understanding, a primal force they couldn't comprehend. Evelyn, seeing Silas's team regrouping, knew she had to buy Aris more time. She pulled out her last remaining tactical knife and, with a desperate cry, charged towards the nearest operative, a whirlwind of motion in the chaotic light. She was a scientist, not a soldier, but her resolve was unyielding. Alistair, his jamming device held high, focused his efforts on the crystal. He could feel the raw data flowing from it, a torrent of information that threatened to overwhelm his senses. He needed to understand what Aris had done, what message he had sent, and what the implications were. Lena Petrova, thousands of miles away, watched in awe as the energy signature from Apu Wirakucha spiked dramatically. The Geological Survey satellite, now focused on the cavern, showed a massive energy discharge, a beam of pure light piercing through the Earth's crust and into space. The signal was not just a call, it was a declaration. Aris, still connected to the crystal, felt a flood of images and sensations. He saw distant galaxies, nebulae swirling with nascent stars, and the silent vast emptiness between worlds. He saw the alien vessel not as a threat, but as a desperate ark, fleeing a dying star, seeking refuge. And he saw the cataclysm, a cosmic wave of dark energy slowly but inexorably approaching their solar system. The crystal began to project holographic images into the cavern, a swirling tapestry of stars, planets, and alien landscapes. It was a visual language, a universal story unfolding before their eyes. Silas's team, momentarily mesmerized, lowered their weapons, their training momentarily forgotten in the face of the impossible. Evelyn, engaged in a desperate hand-to-hand struggle, used the distraction to her advantage. She disarmed her opponent, sending his rifle clattering against the cavern floor. She knew this was a temporary reprieve, but every second counted. Alistair, his mind racing, began to interpret the holographic projections. The alien vessel was not coming to destroy them, it was coming to warn them, to offer a solution. The cataclysm was real, and it was imminent. The message Aris had sent was a plea for collaboration, a desperate hope for a shared future. Lena, receiving the raw data from the satellite, began to process the alien message. It was complex, interwoven with scientific data and emotional pleas. She realized the implications were far greater than she had imagined. This was not just about Earth, it was about the survival of multiple civilizations. Silas, snapping out of his trance, roared at his team. "Regroup! Secure the target! The data is paramount." He raised his own weapon, a sleek, silenced pistol, and aimed it at Aris. He would not allow this information to be disseminated. The secret was too dangerous. Aris, still connected to the crystal, felt Silas's intent. He knew he was a target, but he also knew his mission was far from over. He had to ensure the message reached the world, that humanity understood the choice before them. Unite or perish. Evelyn, seeing Silas raise his weapon, screamed a warning. She threw herself in front of Aris, shielding him with her body. A shot rang out, echoing through the cavern. Evelyn gasped, a searing pain blooming in her shoulder. She fell, but Aris was unharmed. Alistair, witnessing Evelyn's sacrifice, felt a surge of protective fury. He unleashed a powerful burst from his jamming device, overloading Silas's weapon. The pistol sparked and fizzled, rendering it useless. He then turned the device towards Silas, emitting a high-frequency sonic pulse that sent the hardened operative reeling. Lena, seeing the events unfold through the satellite feed, knew she had to act. She bypassed all protocols, sending the raw alien data along with Aris's initial report and Alistair's gravitational anomaly findings to every major scientific institution and news agency worldwide. The truth, she decided, could no longer be contained. Silas, recovering from the sonic blast, saw his mission crumbling. His team was disoriented, his weapon useless, and the data was now being broadcast to the world. He looked at Aris, then at the pulsating crystal, a flicker of something akin to fear in his cold eyes. He had underestimated them. Aris, kneeling beside Evelyn, felt a profound sense of gratitude and sorrow. She had saved him. He looked at the crystal, still projecting its cosmic narrative, and knew that their sacrifice would not be in vain. The message was out. The world would know. Evelyn, clutching her wounded shoulder, managed a weak smile. "Go, Aris," she whispered. "Tell them. Tell them everything." Her eyes, filled with pain, also held a fierce determination. She had done her part. Alistair, his jamming device still active, helped Evelyn to her feet. He looked at Aris, a silent understanding passing between them. The battle was far from over, but the first shot had been fired, and the truth was now in the open. The resonance of worlds had begun, and humanity was about to face its greatest challenge and its greatest opportunity. Chapter 8: The Global Awakening. The blinding flash from the crystal and the subsequent energy surge ripped through the global communication networks. Satellites momentarily flickered, ground stations experienced power fluctuations, and for a few chaotic minutes the world held its breath. Then the holographic projections from Apu Wirakucha began to appear on every screen, every device, every digital billboard across the globe. The alien message, translated by the crystal, was broadcast to billions. Panic erupted. Governments scrambled, military forces went on high alert, and news channels initially reporting technical glitches quickly switched to live feeds of the impossible images, the swirling galaxies, the dying star, the desperate arc, and the approaching wave of dark energy. It was all there, undeniable, terrifying, and utterly real. Silas, his face contorted in a mixture of rage and disbelief, watched as his carefully constructed veil of secrecy was torn asunder. His team, still reeling from Alistair's sonic blast and Evelyn's diversion, was now surrounded by the very truth they had tried to suppress. The mountain, once their hunting ground, had become their prison. Aris, weakened but resolute, watched the global reaction through the crystal's projections. He saw the fear, the confusion, but also a flicker of something else. A nascent understanding, a shared humanity. The message had been received. The world was awake. Evelyn, her shoulder throbbing, leaned against Alistair. "It worked," she whispered, a mix of pain and triumph in her voice. "They know." Alistair, his eyes fixed on the global projections, nodded grimly. "Knowing is one thing, Evelyn. Believing and acting are another entirely." Lena Petrova at the ESA became an instant global sensation. Her earlier anonymized post on the Astrophysics Forum had suddenly gained immense credibility. She was inundated with calls from scientists, politicians, and journalists, all demanding answers. She became the reluctant spokesperson for the alien truth, her calm, scientific demeanor a stark contrast to the global hysteria. Governments, initially attempting to dismiss the projections as a hoax or a coordinated cyber attack, quickly realized the futility of such claims. The sheer scale and consistency of the broadcast, coupled with the undeniable scientific data embedded within the alien message, forced them to confront the impossible. Humanity was not alone, and it was in grave danger. Emergency summits were convened. World leaders, usually locked in geopolitical squabbles, were forced to unite in the face of a common existential threat. The images of the approaching dark energy wave, a cosmic tsunami, painted a grim picture of their shared future. Aris, through the crystal, began to receive a new stream of data. It was a response, a confirmation from the alien vessel. They had received his message. They were accelerating their approach, but the cataclysm was still years away. There was time, but not much. Evelyn, her medical training kicking in, began to tend to her wound. Alistair, meanwhile, was meticulously recording every detail of the crystal's projections, every nuance of the alien message. They were the first human witnesses, the interpreters of a cosmic truth. Silas, seeing the global chaos, knew his organization's mission had failed spectacularly. The secrecy was broken. The variable was out of control. He received a single, chilling command from his handler. Initiate Protocol Omega. Eliminate all witnesses. Secure the artifact. Leave no trace. Aris, sensing the shift in the energy around the crystal, knew the danger was far from over. The message had been sent, but the messengers were still vulnerable. He looked at Evelyn and Alistair, then at the entrance to the cavern. They needed to escape. Lena, now working around the clock, began to disseminate the alien data in digestible formats, creating public awareness campaigns, scientific papers, and even children's educational programs. She understood that fear could paralyze, but knowledge could empower. Humanity needed to understand, not just react. Across the globe, ordinary people reacted in myriad ways. Some succumbed to despair, others found solace in religion, but many, inspired by the sheer audacity of the alien message, began to organize. Citizen science initiatives sprang up, global forums debated solutions, and a new sense of shared purpose began to emerge. Silas's team, now operating under Protocol Omega, launched a desperate assault. They were no longer trying to capture Aris, they were trying to silence him and everyone else in the cavern. Grenades exploded, automatic weapons chattered, and the cavern, once a place of wonder, became a battlefield. Aris, Evelyn, and Alistair fought back with everything they had. Aris, still connected to the crystal, used its energy to create localized force fields, deflecting bullets and explosions. Evelyn, despite her injury, used her tactical skills to disarm and incapacitate several operatives. Alistair, with his jamming device, continued to disrupt their communications, turning their coordinated attack into a chaotic melee. Lena, monitoring the satellite feed, saw the battle raging in the cavern. She knew she couldn't intervene directly, but she could provide support. She broadcast a global plea for assistance, detailing the location of the cavern and the nature of the threat. She called upon the newly awakened global community to protect the truth. Silas, seeing his team being systematically dismantled by 3 scientists, felt a cold dread. This was not how it was supposed to end. He looked at the crystal, still broadcasting its message of hope and warning, and knew that his organization's power was broken. The age of secrets was over. Aris, with a final surge of energy, overloaded the crystal. It pulsed one last time, sending a final, powerful burst of data into space, a confirmation of humanity's readiness to engage. Then, with a blinding flash, it shattered, its fragments scattering across the cavern floor, its mission complete. Evelyn and Alistair, exhausted but alive, helped Aris out of the collapsing cavern. They emerged into the dawn, blinking in the harsh light, their faces streaked with dirt and blood. The mountain, once their prison, was now their sanctuary. The global awakening had begun, and they were its unlikely heroes. The world was no longer just Earth. It was a part of a larger cosmos, and its future was now intertwined with the stars. Chapter 9, The First Contact Protocol. The world reeled. The initial shock gave way to a cacophony of fear, speculation, and desperate hope. News channels ran 24/7 coverage, dissecting every frame of the holographic projections. Scientists debated, religious leaders offered interpretations, and the common person grappled with the profound implications of humanity's place in the cosmos. In the aftermath of the cavern battle, Aris, Evelyn, and Alistair were whisked away by an international task force, a hastily assembled coalition of scientists and military personnel. They were debriefed, examined, and, for the first time, truly listened to. Their story, once dismissed as delusion, was now the most critical intelligence on Earth. Lena Petrova, now a central figure in the global response, worked tirelessly to translate and disseminate the alien data. She established a secure global network connecting the brightest minds in astrophysics, xenolinguistics, and engineering. The alien message was complex, a tapestry of scientific data, historical records, and a desperate plea for assistance. The alien vessel, now confirmed to be an ark, was indeed fleeing a cataclysm. Its home star, a red giant, was in its death throes, and a wave of dark energy, a cosmic anomaly, was sweeping through their sector of the galaxy. They had been searching for a new home, a safe harbor, and their long journey had brought them to the edge of the Sol system. The message also contained a detailed blueprint for a defense system, a network of energy deflectors capable of mitigating the dark energy wave. It was a monumental undertaking requiring global cooperation and an unprecedented mobilization of resources. The Ark was not just seeking refuge, it was offering a solution, a chance for mutual survival. Silas, along with the remnants of his team, was captured. The organization he served, a shadowy cabal that had secretly controlled information for centuries, was exposed. Their attempts to suppress the truth, to maintain humanity's ignorance, had failed spectacularly. The age of secrets was truly over. World leaders, still reeling from the revelation, convened in an emergency session at the United Nations. The debate was fierce, the stakes unimaginable. Some argued for caution, for a defensive posture. Others, inspired by the aliens' plea, advocated for full cooperation, for a united front against the cosmic threat. Aris, Evelyn, and Alistair were brought before the assembly. Aris, his voice hoarse but clear, spoke of the aliens' desperation, their shared vulnerability. Evelyn, her shoulder bandaged, emphasized the scientific validity of the threat and the proposed solution. Alistair, with his characteristic gravitas, urged humanity to rise above its petty differences and embrace its cosmic destiny. The decision was made: humanity would cooperate. The First Contact Protocol, a theoretical framework for engaging with extraterrestrial intelligence, was activated. It was a moment of unprecedented unity and a turning point in human history. The construction of the defense system, dubbed Project Aegis, began immediately. Lena, now leading the scientific arm of Project Aegis, worked closely with the alien data. The blueprints were incredibly advanced, requiring new materials, new energy sources, and a complete re-evaluation of human physics. It was a crash course in interstellar engineering, a quantum leap for human technology. Aris, with his unique connection to the crystal's data, became the primary liaison with the alien Ark. He spent hours in a specially constructed clean room, studying the holographic projections, deciphering the nuances of their language, their culture, their fears. He was a bridge between two species, a translator of cosmic intent. Evelyn, her tactical skills now invaluable, was tasked with establishing security protocols for Project Aegis. She worked with military leaders from around the world, ensuring the defense system was protected from both internal and external threats. The lessons learned from Silas's organization were not forgotten. Alistair, his mind buzzing with the implications of the alien technology, became the chief scientific advisor. He guided the global research efforts, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge, inspiring a new generation of scientists to tackle the impossible. The construction of Project Aegis was a global effort. Nations pooled their resources, their brightest minds, their strongest hands. Massive orbital platforms were assembled, powered by newly discovered energy sources. Asteroids were mined for rare materials. The Earth, once a fragmented collection of nations, was now a single, unified entity, working towards a common goal. As the alien Ark drew closer, its immense size became visible to the naked eye, a shimmering diamond against the black velvet of space. It was a sight that inspired both awe and terror, a tangible reminder of the cosmic stakes. Humanity watched, waited, and worked. Aris, in his role as liaison, began to communicate directly with the Ark's inhabitants. They were a species of sentient, energy-based beings, their physical forms adapted to the harsh realities of deep space. They communicated through a complex interplay of light and sound, a symphony of cosmic thought. Evelyn, overseeing the deployment of the first Aegis deflectors, felt a surge of pride. The sheer scale of the project was breathtaking, a testament to human ingenuity and cooperation. The deflectors, massive crystalline structures, began to hum with a faint, protective energy. Alistair, observing the Ark's approach, noted a subtle shift in its trajectory. It was not just fleeing the cataclysm, it was actively guiding it, positioning itself to absorb the initial impact of the dark energy wave, shielding the Sol system from its full force. They were not just seeking help, they were offering a sacrifice. Lena, analyzing the latest data from the Ark, discovered a critical flaw in their defense system. The dark energy wave was evolving, adapting. The Aegis deflectors, as designed, would not be enough. A new, more powerful solution was needed, and time was running out. Aris, receiving the same dire update from the Ark, felt a cold dread. They had come so far, achieved so much, but it might not be enough. He looked at the holographic projection of the approaching dark energy wave, and a silent, inexorable force of destruction. He knew he had to find a way, a new solution, before it was too late. The global awakening had brought humanity to the brink of its greatest challenge. The first contact was not a celebration, but a desperate race against time, a fight for survival against a cosmic enemy. The fate of two civilizations, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. The first contact protocol had been activated, but the true test of humanity's resolve was yet to come. Chapter 10. the crucible of unity. The revelation of the Aegis system's vulnerability sent a ripple of despair through the global command center. Lena Petrova, her face etched with exhaustion, presented the grim update. The dark energy wave was not a static phenomenon, it was a living, evolving entity, adapting to their defenses. Project Aegis, once humanity's beacon of hope, was now a ticking clock. Aris, his connection to the alien ark deepening, felt their collective despair. They had given humanity their best, their most advanced knowledge, and still it might not be enough. He knew he had to find a new path, a way to bridge the gap between human ingenuity and alien wisdom. Evelyn, ever the pragmatist, immediately began to analyze the new data. If the deflectors couldn't hold, they needed an offensive strategy. But how do you fight a cosmic wave of dark energy? The question hung heavy in the air, a suffocating weight. Alistair, his eyes gleaming with a familiar intensity, saw not despair, but a challenge. The wave adapts, he mused, pacing the command center. Then we must adapt faster. We need a new paradigm, a fusion of our understanding and theirs. He turned to Aris, a silent question in his gaze. The alien ark, now a colossal presence in Earth's orbit, began to emit a new series of complex data streams. It was a desperate gambit, a final offering. They were sharing their core consciousness, their collective memory, a direct neural interface designed to accelerate human understanding. Aris volunteered without hesitation. He was connected to a neural interface, a delicate web of electrodes and fiber optics. The influx of alien consciousness was overwhelming, a torrent of images, emotions, and scientific principles that threatened to shatter his mind. He saw their history, their triumphs, their failures, and the terrifying beauty of their dying star. Evelyn, overseeing the neural interface, monitored Aris's vital signs with a hawk's intensity. The risk was immense. A single misstep could fry his brain, or worse, leave him a shell of his former self. But she trusted him, and she trusted the alien's intent. Alistair, working alongside Lena, began to process the raw data flowing from Aris's mind. It was a chaotic symphony of alien knowledge, but within the chaos patterns began to emerge. A new understanding of space-time, of energy manipulation, of the very fabric of the universe. Lena, her fingers flying across her console, began to synthesize the new data with the existing Aegis blueprints. The solution was there, hidden within the alien consciousness, a radical reimagining of their defense system. It wasn't about deflecting the wave, it was about harmonizing with it, transforming its destructive energy. The global command center buzzed with renewed purpose. The despair had been replaced by a fierce determination. Humanity, guided by Aris's sacrifice and the alien's wisdom, was on the verge of a breakthrough. The crucible of unity was forging a new path forward. Aris, emerging from the neural interface, was changed. His eyes held a deeper understanding, a cosmic perspective that transcended human comprehension. He spoke of a new element, a theoretical particle, that could resonate with dark energy, transforming it into a harmless, even beneficial force. Evelyn, though relieved to see Aris alive, was concerned by his transformation. He was still Aris, but he was also something more, something alien. She knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, not just from the cosmic threat, but from within humanity itself. Alistair, his face alight with scientific fervor, immediately began to work on the theoretical framework for the new element. He called it Ethereum, a bridge between the known and the unknown, a key to unlocking the universe's deepest secrets. Lena, using the new data, began to re-engineer the Aegis system. The deflectors would no longer be static shields. They would be dynamic resonators capable of interacting with the dark energy wave on a quantum level. It was a monumental task requiring every ounce of human ingenuity. The global effort intensified, factories repurposed, research labs worked around the clock, and a new sense of urgency permeated every aspect of human society. The threat was still immense, but now they had a fighting chance. The shared knowledge had ignited a spark of hope. As the dark energy wave drew closer, its immense, silent presence cast a pall over the solar system. It was a cosmic predator, a force of nature beyond human comprehension. But now, humanity was ready to meet it, not with fear, but with a newfound understanding. Aris, now a conduit between two species, guided the final adjustments to Project Aegis. He felt the resonance of the Ethereum, a subtle hum that promised not just defense, but transformation. He was no longer just an astronomer. He was a guardian, a bridge, a symbol of unity. Evelyn, standing beside him, felt a surge of pride. They had come so far from a desolate observatory in the Atacama to the precipice of cosmic confrontation. She knew the battle ahead would be fierce, but they were not alone. They had each other, and they had the wisdom of the stars. Alistair, observing the final preparations, felt a profound sense of awe. Humanity, once a small, squabbling species on a pale blue dot, was now reaching for the stars, not just to explore, but to survive. The Ethereum was their key, their hope, their future. Lena, watching the Aegis system come online, felt a tear trace a path down her cheek. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to what humanity could achieve when united. The dark energy wave was almost upon them, but they were ready. The crucible of unity had forged a new humanity, one capable of facing the cosmos, not as conquerors, but as collaborators. The fate of two civilizations, intertwined by a shared destiny, was about to be decided. Chapter 11. The Ethereum Protocol. The final countdown had begun. The dark energy wave, a shimmering, malevolent curtain of cosmic destruction, was now visible to the naked eye from Earth. Its approach cast a pall over the solar system, a silent promise of annihilation. Yet, in the global command center, a new kind of energy pulsed, one of focused determination and a fragile, burgeoning hope. Aris, now more attuned to the subtle energies of the universe, felt the wave's approach not just as a threat, but as a complex symphony of cosmic forces. His mind, expanded by the alien consciousness, was a bridge between the two species, translating the nuances of the Ethereum protocol. Evelyn, her shoulder still healing, moved with a renewed sense of purpose. She oversaw the final calibration of the Aegis resonators, massive crystalline structures now humming with the nascent power of Ethereum. Each one was a testament to human ingenuity, guided by alien wisdom. Alistair, his white hair dishevelled from sleepless nights, meticulously checked the theoretical calculations. The Ethereum protocol was a radical departure from known physics, a dance with dark energy itself. One miscalculation could mean the end of everything. Lena Petrova, her voice calm amidst the storm, coordinated the global deployment. Every nation, every resource was now dedicated to Project Aegis. The world had truly united, driven by the shared threat and the audacious promise of a new future. The alien ark, a silent sentinel in orbit, began to emit a complex series of resonant frequencies. These were the guiding pulses for the Ethereum, a cosmic tuning fork to harmonize with the incoming dark energy wave. The fate of two civilizations rested on this delicate balance. Ares, connected to the ark's consciousness, felt the immense pressure of their collective hope. He was the conductor of this cosmic orchestra, guiding humanity's efforts to match the aliens' intricate rhythm. The Ethereum was not just a defense, it was a conversation. Evelyn, watching the first Aegis resonator come fully online, felt a tremor of awe. The crystal pulsed with a soft, ethereal light, absorbing and re-emitting the ark's frequencies. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly alien. Alistair, observing the energy readings, saw the first signs of success. The dark energy wave, though still advancing, was subtly changing its properties, its destructive potential beginning to be mitigated by the Ethereum's influence. It was working. Lena, receiving confirmation from multiple global sensors, allowed herself a small, weary smile. The initial phase of the Ethereum protocol was a success, but the most dangerous part was yet to come. The direct confrontation, the moment of truth. The dark energy wave made its first direct contact with the outer reaches of the solar system. The void of space shimmered, stars momentarily distorted, and a faint, unsettling hum resonated through the vacuum. The Aegis resonators flared to life, their combined energy forming a protective shield around the inner planets. Aris, his mind stretched to its limits, felt the immense pressure of the wave. It was a force beyond comprehension, a cosmic leviathan. But he also felt the resilience of the Ethereum, the strength of the combined human and alien will, pushing back. Evelyn, her hands on the controls of the primary resonator, felt the immense power flowing through the system. It was a delicate dance, a constant adjustment to the wave's evolving nature. She was a warrior, fighting a battle on a cosmic scale. Alistair, his eyes glued to the data, saw the Ethereum not just deflecting, but transforming the dark energy. It was being converted, transmuted into something benign, something that could even be harnessed. The alien solution was not just survival, it was evolution. Lena, communicating with the Ark, received a final, urgent message. The core of the dark energy wave contained a singularity, a point of immense gravitational force. The Ethereum could transform the wave, but the singularity itself needed a direct, focused intervention. Aris, understanding the message, knew what had to be done. He had to go to the heart of the wave, to the singularity, and deliver a final, concentrated burst of Ethereum. It was a suicide mission, a one-way trip into the heart of cosmic darkness. Evelyn, hearing Aris's plan, protested vehemently. "It's too dangerous! You won't survive!" But she saw the resolve in his eyes, the cosmic understanding that now resided within him. He was no longer just Aris Thorne. He was humanity's last hope. Alistair, though heartbroken, understood the necessity. "We will prepare a vessel," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "A single-person craft shielded with Ethereum. It will be a spear, Aris, a spear of light against the darkness." Lena, her face grim, began to coordinate the launch. The entire Aegis network would focus its power, creating a temporary pathway, a tunnel of Ethereum for Aris's vessel to reach the singularity. It was a gamble, the biggest gamble humanity had ever taken. Aris, standing before the sleek Ethereum-shielded vessel, looked at Evelyn and Alistair. "Tell them," he said, his voice calm and clear. "Tell them we faced the darkness, and we chose light. Tell them we were not alone." He stepped into the vessel, the hatch sealing behind him. The Ethereum protocol was not just a defense. It was a testament to the indomitable spirit of life, a final, desperate ascent into the unknown. Chapter 12. The Heart of the Storm. The Ethereum-shielded vessel, a needle of light against the encroaching darkness, launched from Earth with a silent, powerful thrust. Aris, strapped into the pilot's seat, felt the immense G-forces press him back, a physical manifestation of the hopes and fears of two civilizations. The Aegis network flared, creating a shimmering tunnel through the dark energy wave, a temporary corridor to the heart of the storm. His journey was a blur of cosmic phenomena. The dark energy wave, a swirling vortex of impossible colors and gravitational distortion stretched before him. It was a chaotic, beautiful and terrifying spectacle, a force that defied all human understanding. Yet within its destructive embrace, Aris felt a strange sense of connection, a resonance with the alien consciousness that now resided within him. Evelyn, her eyes glued to the telemetry, watched Aris's vessel navigate the treacherous path. Every flicker on the screen, every subtle shift in trajectory, was a moment of agonizing suspense. She was a silent co-pilot, her heart beating in rhythm with his. Alistair, his face grim, monitored the Ethereum's integrity. The shield was holding, but the strain was immense. The dark energy wave was pushing back, testing the limits of their combined technology and understanding. He knew Aris was venturing into the unknown, at a place where even the laws of physics bent and broke. Lena Petrova, coordinating the global Aegis network, ensured the Ethereum tunnel remained stable. It was a monumental task requiring precise synchronization of thousands of resonators across the solar system. One wrong calculation, one momentary lapse, and Aris would be swallowed by the wave. The alien arc, its presence a comforting hum in Aris's mind, guided him. It projected a mental map, three-dimensional rendering of the dark energy wave's internal structure, highlighting the path to the singularity. It was a complex, ever-shifting labyrinth, a cosmic puzzle. Aris, his hands on the controls, felt the vessel shudder and groan under the immense pressure. The Ethereum shield pulsed, a vibrant protective aura against the encroaching darkness. He was a tiny speck, a fragile hope venturing into the heart of a cosmic leviathan. He encountered strange phenomena within the wave. Pockets of inverted gravity, temporal distortions, and shimmering mirages of distant stars. It was a landscape of impossible physics, a testament to the destructive power of dark energy. He was a pioneer charting a course through the uncharted. Evelyn, seeing the vessel's sensors register extreme gravitational fluctuations, knew Aris was nearing the singularity. Her breath caught in her throat. This was the point of no return, the ultimate test of the Ethereum protocol. Alistair, his voice tight with tension, warned Aris of the increasing energy spikes. The singularity is destabilizing, Aris. You need to act now. The Ethereum shield was beginning to show signs of stress, faint cracks appearing in its luminous surface. Lena, her commands echoing across the global network, ordered a final, concentrated burst of Ethereum. The tunnel flared, momentarily pushing back the dark energy wave, buying Aris precious seconds. It was a collective act of will, a desperate gamble. Aris, seeing the singularity ahead, a swirling vortex of pure darkness, knew this was it. He armed the Ethereum payload, a concentrated burst of the newly discovered element. It was a weapon of transformation, designed not to destroy, but to harmonize. He felt the alien consciousness merge with his own, a final, powerful surge of collective will. They were one, two species united in a desperate attempt to save their shared future. The Ethereum payload was not just a device, it was a symbol of their unity. Evelyn watched as Aris's vessel plunged into the heart of the singularity. For a terrifying moment, the screen went blank. The telemetry flatlined. A collective gasp went through the command center. Had they failed? Alistair, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe, saw a faint ripple in the dark energy wave, a subtle shift in its chaotic dance. It was not a collapse, but a transformation. The Ethereum was working. Lena, her voice trembling with emotion, confirmed the readings. The wave, it's changing, the energy signature is stabilizing, it's becoming benign. A wave of relief, profound and overwhelming, swept through the command center. Aris, at the heart of the singularity, felt the immense pressure dissipate. The dark energy wave, once a force of destruction, was now a gentle current, a river of cosmic energy flowing harmlessly through space. The Ethereum had worked. He had succeeded. He felt the alien consciousness recede, leaving him with a profound sense of peace and an even deeper understanding of the universe. He was still Aris Thorne, but he was also something more. A bridge, a catalyst, a living testament to the power of unity. Evelyn, seeing Aris's vessel re-emerge from the now calm, dark energy wave, let out a sob of relief. He was alive. He had done it. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious, not through conquest, but through collaboration. Alistair, his eyes filled with tears, looked at the transformed dark energy wave. It was no longer a threat, but a source of immense, untapped power. The Ethereum protocol had not just saved them. It had opened up a new era of cosmic understanding and possibility. Lena, her voice clear and strong, broadcast the news to the world. The dark energy wave was neutralized. Humanity was safe. The alien ark, its mission accomplished, began its slow, graceful departure from the solar system, a silent promise of future collaboration. The heart of the storm had been tamed, and a new dawn had broken for humanity, a dawn illuminated by the light of a shared cosmic destiny. Chapter 13. The Dawn of a New Era. The world erupted in a celebration unlike any seen before. The news of the dark energy wave's neutralization, broadcast by Lena Petrova, swept across the globe, replacing fear with an overwhelming sense of relief and triumph. Humanity had faced annihilation, and through unity and an unexpected alliance had prevailed. The impossible had been achieved. Aris, his vessel gently guided back to Earth by the Aegis network, was hailed as a hero. Yet he felt no triumph, only a profound sense of peace and a quiet understanding of the universe's intricate balance. His mind, still resonating with the alien consciousness, was a testament to the transformative power of first contact. Evelyn, her shoulder now bandaged and healing, was by his side as he emerged from the vessel. Her embrace was a silent acknowledgement of their shared ordeal, a promise of a future built on courage and collaboration. The scientist had become a warrior, and now a beacon of hope. Alistair, his eyes twinkling with renewed scientific curiosity, saw the dawn of a new era. The Ethereum, once a theoretical concept, was now a tangible reality, a key to unlocking unimaginable possibilities. He envisioned a future where humanity, armed with alien knowledge, would explore the cosmos not as conquerors, but as learners. Lena Petrova, now a global icon, spearheaded the dissemination of the alien knowledge. The Ark, before its departure, had left behind a vast repository of data, a cosmic library of scientific principles, technological blueprints, and philosophical insights. It was a gift, a legacy for humanity's future. The alien Ark, a shimmering diamond against the backdrop of a now calm solar system, began its slow, graceful journey away from Earth. Its departure was not a farewell, but a promise of future encounters, a symbol of a new cosmic understanding. Humanity watched, not with fear, but with gratitude and a sense of shared destiny. Aris, now a global ambassador for humanity, worked tirelessly to integrate the alien knowledge into human society. He established the Ethereum Institute, a global research facility dedicated to understanding and applying the new science. It was a place where human and alien wisdom converged. Evelyn, now head of global security for the Project Aegis, ensured the defense system was repurposed for peaceful exploration. The resonators, once designed to deflect destruction, were now used to create stable wormholes, opening up new pathways to distant stars. Humanity was no longer confined to its solar system. Alistair, his mind buzzing with new theories, led the scientific exploration of the Ethereum. He discovered its potential for clean energy, for advanced medical treatments, and even for terraforming barren planets. The universe, once a hostile void, was now a canvas of endless possibilities. Lena, her vision now focused on interstellar diplomacy, established the Cosmic Council, a global body dedicated to fostering peaceful relations with any future extraterrestrial civilizations. She understood that the first contact was just the beginning, a prelude to a much larger cosmic narrative. The remnants of Silas's organization, exposed and dismantled, served as a stark reminder of the dangers of secrecy and control. The age of hidden truths was over. Transparency and collaboration became the new global ethos, a lesson learned at the brink of annihilation. Across the globe, a new generation was inspired. Children, once dreaming of becoming astronauts, now dreamed of becoming Ethereum engineers, xenolinguists, and cosmic diplomats. The stars, once distant points of light, were now a beckoning frontier, a promise of adventure and discovery. Ari, standing on the observation deck of the newly constructed Starbridge orbital station, looked back at Earth. It was a vibrant, unified world, its surface crisscrossed with energy pathways, its cities glowing with the clean light of Ethereum. He saw the future, a future he had helped to build. Evelyn, beside him, pointed to a distant shimmer in space. "The first Starbridge expedition," she said, her voice filled with excitement, "heading for Kepler 186 to say thank you." The journey to the alien Ark's home system was a mission of gratitude, a symbol of humanity's enduring spirit. Alistair, his hand resting on a console displaying complex Ethereum schematics, smiled. "The universe is vast, my dear, and we have only just begun to understand its whispers." His lifelong quest for knowledge had found its ultimate fulfillment, a boundless frontier of discovery. Lena, addressing the Cosmic Council, spoke of the challenges ahead. The universe was still a dangerous place, filled with unknown threats and unimaginable wonders. But humanity was ready. They had learned to unite, to adapt, to embrace the unknown. The Ethereum, now integrated into every aspect of human life, had transformed their world. Cities floated on anti-gravity platforms, diseases were eradicated, and the very concept of scarcity became a relic of the past. Humanity had entered a golden age, a renaissance of cosmic proportions. Aris, his gaze fixed on the departing Starbridge expedition, felt a profound sense of hope. The echo of starlight, once a scream of warning, was now a song of possibility. He had faced the darkness, and he had helped humanity find its light. His journey from a lone astronomer in the desert to a cosmic ambassador was complete. Evelyn, taking his hand, squeezed it gently. "What's next, Aris?" she asked, her eyes reflecting the distant stars. He smiled, a genuine, unburdened smile. "The universe, Evelyn, the universe is next." The dawn of a new era had truly arrived, and humanity, forever changed, was ready to embrace its cosmic destiny, not as survivors, but as explorers, as partners in the grand tapestry of existence. Chapter 14. The Whispers of Kepler. 186. The Starbridge expedition, a gleaming spearhead of human and alien technology, sliced through the void, propelled by the resonant hum of Ethereum. Aboard the vessel, a diverse crew of scientists, engineers, and diplomats, led by Evelyn Reed, felt the thrill of the unknown and the weight of their mission. Their destination, Kepler 186, the home system of the Ark, a journey of gratitude and discovery. Eris, though not physically present, was a constant presence on the bridge. His consciousness, linked to the ship's advanced A1, provided real-time insights into the alien data, guiding their understanding of the complex stellar cartography and the subtle nuances of interstellar travel. He was the ghost in the machine, the cosmic navigator. Back on Earth, Alistair Finch oversaw the expansion of the Ethereum network. The planet was transforming, its energy grid now entirely sustainable, its climate stabilized. He pushed the boundaries of Ethereum applications, exploring its potential for faster-than-light communication and even localized space-time manipulation. Lena Petrova at the Cosmic Council prepared for the next phase of interstellar diplomacy. The departure of the Ark had left a void, but also a clear path for humanity to step onto the galactic stage. She worked on establishing protocols for future first contacts, ensuring that humanity would approach new civilizations with respect and a spirit of collaboration. The journey to Kepler 186 was not without its challenges. They encountered rogue asteroids, pockets of gravitational anomalies, and nebulae that shimmered with unknown energies. Each obstacle was a test, a learning opportunity, pushing the boundaries of their Ethereum-powered vessel. Evelyn, her leadership skills, honed by years of crisis management, navigated the crew through these cosmic trials. She fostered a spirit of camaraderie and scientific inquiry, turning potential disasters into moments of profound discovery. She was not just a captain, she was a mentor, a guide. Harris, through the ship's AY, shared the Ark's historical data, revealing the long, arduous journey of the alien species. He showed them the sacrifices they had made, the worlds they had lost, and the unwavering hope that had driven them across the vast emptiness of space. It was a story of resilience, a mirror reflecting humanity's own struggles. One day, as they approached the outer reaches of the Kepler 186 system, the ship's sensors detected a faint, rhythmic pulse. It was the same signal Aris had first detected years ago, the echo of starlight that had started it all. But this time it was not a warning, it was a welcome. Evelyn ordered the ship to slow, her heart pounding with anticipation. They were here. They had made it. The long journey, the sacrifices, the global unity. It had all led to this moment, the first human arrival at an alien homeworld. Alistair, receiving the data back on Earth, felt a surge of emotion. The signal, once a source of terror, was now a symbol of hope, a testament to the boundless potential of the universe. He knew that humanity's place in the cosmos was no longer a question, but a vibrant, unfolding reality. Lena at the Cosmic Council announced the successful arrival of the Starbridge expedition. The news reverberated across Earth, a wave of collective pride and excitement. Humanity had taken its first true step into the galactic community. The alien Ark, now in orbit around Kepler 186b, a lush, verdant world, sent a direct telepathic greeting to the Starbridge. It was a complex tapestry of images and emotions, a message of peace, gratitude, and an invitation to share knowledge. Aris, acting as the primary conduit, translated the greeting for the crew. He conveyed the aliens' profound relief at their arrival, their joy at the shared understanding, and their eagerness to collaborate on the challenges that lay ahead. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated connection. Evelyn, her eyes welling up, responded with a message of human gratitude and a promise of mutual respect. She spoke of humanity's journey, its struggles, and its newfound commitment to cosmic unity. It was a declaration of intent, a handshake across the stars. The Starbridge docked with the alien Ark, a seamless fusion of two advanced technologies, The airlock hissed open, and the human crew, clad in specially designed environmental suits, stepped into the alien vessel. It was a moment of profound significance, the first physical meeting of two intelligent species. Inside the Ark, the human crew was met by the energy-based aliens, their forms shimmering with an ethereal light. They communicated through a direct mental link, a silent exchange of thoughts and emotions. There was no language barrier, no cultural divide, only a shared understanding. Alistair, back on Earth, received the first detailed reports from the Star Bridge, the alien technology, their societal structures, their philosophical insights. It was all being transmitted back, a treasure trove of cosmic knowledge that would revolutionize human civilization. Lena at the Cosmic Council began to establish permanent diplomatic ties with the alien civilization. The initial contact was a success, but the real work of building a lasting, collaborative relationship was just beginning. The future of interstellar relations was being forged. The alien homeworld, Kepler 186b, was a paradise. Its skies were a kaleidoscope of colors, its flora pulsed with bioluminescence, and its fauna moved with a graceful, almost ethereal beauty. It was a world that defied human imagination, a testament to the diversity of life in the universe. Aris, through the ship's AY, guided the human crew through the alien world. He showed them the alien cities, their art, their scientific achievements. He revealed their deep connection to their planet, their understanding of ecological balance, and their profound respect for all life. It was a lesson in cosmic stewardship. Evelyn, walking on the alien soil, felt a sense of profound humility and wonder. She was a witness to history, a participant in a new chapter of cosmic evolution. The whispers of Kepler 186 were not just sounds, they were the echoes of a shared future, a symphony of interconnectedness. The Star Bridge expedition was more than just a journey, it was a transformation. Humanity had not just found a new ally, it had found a new perspective, a deeper understanding of its place in the vast, wondrous tapestry of the cosmos. The whispers of Kepler 186 had become a song of hope, a promise of endless possibilities. Chapter 15. The Architects of Harmony. The integration of human and alien knowledge on Kepler 186b was a delicate dance of discovery. The human crew, guided by Aris's enhanced consciousness and the Ark's direct mental links, began to unravel the mysteries of the alien civilization. They were not just learning, they were evolving, their minds expanding to encompass new paradigms of existence. Evelyn, now a respected diplomat and explorer, spent her days observing the alien societal structures. Their civilization was built on principles of harmony and collective consciousness, a stark contrast to humanity's often individualistic and conflict-ridden past. She saw a blueprint for a more peaceful future, a path humanity could aspire to. Back on Earth, Alistair Finch delved deeper into the Ethereum. He discovered that its properties extended beyond energy manipulation and space-time distortion. It was a fundamental force, a medium through which consciousness itself could be amplified and shared. He began to theorize about a universal consciousness, a cosmic web, connecting all sentient life. Lena Petrova at the Cosmic Council facilitated the exchange of information. The data flowing from Kepler 186b was immense, requiring new methods of processing and dissemination. She worked to ensure that this knowledge was accessible to all, fostering a global understanding of humanity's new place in the cosmos. The alien architects, as the Kepler 186 inhabitants were now called, revealed their history. They were not just fleeing a cataclysm, they were also on a mission to seed life and knowledge across the galaxy, a cosmic gardening project spanning millennia. The Ark was not just a refuge, it was a mobile library, a living seed bank. Aris, his mind now a conduit for both human and alien thought, understood their profound purpose. He saw the dark energy wave not as an end, but as a catalyst, a force that had inadvertently brought two civilizations together, accelerating their shared evolution. He was a living testament